Have you ever joined an open Wi-Fi or free Wi-Fi network? Perhaps it was at your local cafe or even the airport. How do you know your data is safe? Well, simply put, it isn't. In this video, I'm going to show you how hackers can steal your most valuable credentials in these networks using a method called ARP poisoning. Let's get into it. So you're chilling at the airport, you're waiting for your flight, and you think to yourself, well, you know what, I might just leech some free Wi-Fi. That's what it's there for. Why the bloody hell not? If this sounds like you and you've done this before, you might be familiar with the little splash page that comes up after you connect to that network. You know, that little page that asks you for your email address and to accept the terms and conditions before using the Wi-Fi network. Well, you see, hackers tend not to subscribe to terms and conditions, and it's painfully easy to steal your credentials on these Wi-Fi networks. The first way they do this, well, is insultingly easy. If you're connected to an open Wi-Fi network, all of the communications between you, other hosts on the network, as well as the default gateway, which is often the router, are unencrypted. That's just tech speak for easy to read, and it's in English, it's in plain text. So anybody could simply just be sitting on the network running a packet sniffing tool such as Wireshark, which is a free tool, and start listening to all your conversations. The second method is what we're going to focus on in this video, and it's kind of badass. It's called ARP poisoning. ARP stands for Address Resolution Protocol, and it's the protocol that maps IP addresses to their relative MAC addresses. Okay, so imagine it this way. A PC on a network has a street name and a postcode of another PC on a network, but it needs to know the name of the person living there so they can ensure that the information goes to the right place. But as in most of my hacking videos, I'm going to explain ARP in a way that even those without any technical understanding can understand. Let's meet Matthew. Hello. Matthew has a message to send to a specific address and needs to know who has this address. Hey all, I've got a message for 192.168.1.5. Who's at that address? That's me. That's me. Great. And your name? John's my name. Oh, great, John. And do you mind if I just see some ID, please, mate? Yep, here you go. And could you just jot that down in your memory so you don't have to announce it next time to everybody? It's a bit embarrassing. Yep, no problem. Yeah, no problem. I'll just put that in my notebook. And that's your message, John. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. Now, let's introduce our hacker who's going to poison this process by pretending to be John and updating his address records. Hey. How you doing? It's me. It's John. Well, you don't look like the John that I remember, but who am I to discriminate? You got some ID there, mate? Yep. Here you go. Well, I'll be a son of a you are, John. What can I do for you, John? Just letting you know I've updated my address. I'm now at 192.168.1.200. And like, if you can update that in your memory, yeah, just update it. Yep, no worries, mate. Got your new address down. Thanks for letting me know. Now, whenever a message is supposed to go to John, it's going to go to the hacker instead. And he or she can do whatever they want with that information. Often, hackers will employ ARP poisoning to imitate the default gateway, which is often the router, that bridge between your internal network and the internet, whereby anyone wanting to access a genuine website could be redirected to the hacker's spoofed splash page. Now, let's see how it's done. First things first, let's boot up our Linux machine. And we'll start our local web server. Now we'll visit our local host. And you'll see I've got a spoofed login page here for the Wi-Fi. This is at Alan Bucks, a local cafe. Next thing we'll do is we'll set up our DNS spoofing. Setting up all web requests to point to our IP. Crank open our Ettercap. Start sniffing. And let's do a search for our hosts on the network. Setting the first target to our router to poison, just like in the example. And we'll set our target to my iPhone, which is on the same network. ARP poison. And we're going to DNS spoof. So whenever I access the internet on this iPhone, it's going to redirect to our spoof login page. There you have it. So I'm just going to log in with some fake information and see if we can capture that information. Okay, I've logged in. Let's take a look what credentials we captured. And there we have it. So this will capture all information that's gone through. This is the one I just entered here on my phone, helloboss@gmail.com, with my secure password. So how do we mitigate against these types of attacks, or how do we avoid them? Well, there was two types of attacks that we discussed here. The first one was just joining a open Wi-Fi network that has unencrypted communications. The easiest mitigation strategy for this one is simply don't join open Wi-Fi networks. If it doesn't require a password to sign into the network, it's unencrypted and it's not secure. However, if you find yourself in need of having to use open Wi-Fi, make sure you're using a VPN on your device, so your phone or your laptop, to ensure that all your communications within that network are encrypted. I'd highly recommend using a VPN like NordVPN. NordVPN always has some great deals. They're relatively cheap and they're really reliable. You can pick up a fairly affordable VPN plan with Nord, and you can do that by clicking my link in the description. Now, the VPN is one thing, but that's not necessarily going to save you from the ARP poisoning and the DNS spoofing that we showed in the example. How do we avoid that? It really just comes to just being that extra cautious on what information you're putting through on the browser. What information are they asking you? If they're asking you to sign in with an existing account like a Gmail or a Facebook account, well, it's probably unnecessary and you should be suspicious. Also, take a look at the address bar that you were redirected to. If there's no domain on there and it's just a bunch of numbers, you should be suspicious. If you enjoyed the video, leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell and all that blah blah blah. You know what to do. See you next time.